it's like gotten to the point where it's like bent back and forth too many times and it's at the end of the shelf. I feel like what if we just, glued 4 or 5 Falcon rockets to it, and then move it to like, the moon's orbit, and we used it as a staging thing, like a little Lagrange point. Like, why do we have to bring it, assuming it's still good, why can't we just, glue a bunch of rockets to it and bring it out to somewhere more stable?
There are some people advocating for that. Actually, I've had a few private conversations with some NASA folk that would like to see it. I mean, the functional lifetime of that space station is done. Like the Chinese space, the newest Chinese space station in comparison to the ISS looks so much more shiny because just everything's so new, right? Like you think how much computers have changed. Since some of those computers went up there in 1990 and never, they're still using them or bits for them, right? It's just this legacy nightmare. And so I don't know how functional it would be, but certainly people are calling for it to be memorialized, right? Like you say, stabilize the orbit, move it out to somewhere else, park it there. The problem you have is that there's the sheer amount of money. It represents an enormous risk in terms of it breaking up because the ISS is 400 tons of stuff. And so if it comes apart, that's one hell of a debris field that you now have to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
So the risk involved with, and it's not designed to be accelerated to those kind of altitudes, right? Like it was, and maybe it's within the limits of the thing. I don't know, right? It has the ability to accelerate, so you can put more fuel in it, but so you would have to like tow it up to a much, much higher altitude to have it out of the way of everything. So much so that if it disintegrated, it wouldn't cause too much of a problem. And given the current priorities of NASA, they're struggling to just do the mission that's been handed to them right now. I don't think anyone there likes the idea. I think it is just an unfortunate necessity of their budget constraints. And I agree. I mean, I would love to see that thing preserved. Like I grew up on pictures of it. I would one day love to go to that compeller module. I hear the whole thing smells awful, just absolutely rancid. Like when you ever go to like one of those camping music festivals, by the third day of not showering, you all smell terrible, but nobody realizes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Imagine it's a lot like that.
Yeah, I think they use moist towels and stuff. They don't have showers.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, so I've heard the smell is a little impressive, and maybe they got better. I don't know, but
it's part of the experience.
It's part of the experience.
Yeah.
C'est quoi, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the point, right? I mean, it's just I grew up on those images, dreaming that one day I might be in that Capella module looking down on the planet, right? And so, more than most, I would love to see it preserved, but the even beyond the cost, I think the risk that comes with basically destroying an entire, we're already so worried about debris and orbits and who owns what and what do you do, and especially with the militarization of these things, right? All you need is a few good missiles to blow up a couple satellites, and the next thing you know, you have some enormous debris field, right, within around the place, which could cause a chain reaction of exploding satellites, and the next thing you know, everything's trash. But what do you do about that?
Yeah.
We don't really have good answers for collecting space debris. Especially when a grain of sand at 20,000 miles an hour will blow an enormous, 1 foot wide hole into a block of aluminium. Google that if you're ever.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's creepy.
And so, when you're in space is enormous. You think the planet Earth is big. Imagine, the volume, the planet that the orbit represents it's absolutely gigantic, right? It's and then trying to find every grain of sand in it is cataclysmic. And at the moment, going to space is relatively simple because you aren't basically being shot at constantly by space debris. But hey, that could change. Be a fun new engineering challenge.
Yeah, I think I saw